Hey everybody, Rory from A&S Gear. We're going to look at a Lux today. This is a 2.0 OLED, and we're going to go over just how to do some basic maintenance. Break the gun apart, kind of in depth. We're going to look at the bolt, we're going to take the reg apart, we're going to take the frame off, we're going to look at the eye ribbon, how to get the battery out to change the batteries. Pretty much all the basic maintenance stuff that you're going to do to your gun, and give you a better idea of how the gun breaks down and what it looks like inside there. So if maybe you're going to purchase a Lux and you're kind of wondering what the maintenance is going to be like, or if you already have one and you're not sure how to do it, this will help with those kind of scenarios. So we'll go over the easy to get to parts first. So we'll take the bolt out, the eye covers off, the ASA knob off, and just look at some features of those and things you want to look for as far as where the O-rings are and what could possibly go wrong. So we'll start at the bottom with the ASA knob. It's really simple to take care of. We're just going to unscrew it all the way out. There's an O-ring on here at the end. If you get leaks out your ASA out the bottom, you twist it in and it leaks, and you turn it a little bit farther and it stops leaking. That's typically caused by that O-ring on there. Pull it off, switch it out, re-grease it, throw it back together. Super easy to get that out of there. There is another O-ring that is in between the ASA and the frame. If you get a leak up in that area, take the two screws out. To get to those two screws, you do need to take the ASA out. So don't try to stick an Allen key up through here without taking the ASA out, because you're just going to smash into the ASA knob. So pull it out, Allen key in, pop it off, O-ring inside there. So very, very simple to take care of any of that stuff there. We'll talk about the eye covers. The eye covers do unlatch just like normal. Really, the only thing you're going to worry about on your eye covers is, here's my pick, two things. The detent right there, you want to make sure that the detent is springing inside there, that it's not covered in paint or goo or dirt, which is causing it to stick down and not come out. Can happen. And then also there's it kind of looks like a metal O-ring or a metal wound O-ring. This is what makes your latch spring back and forth. The original versions, they had a actual rubber O-ring that cracked, fell apart, got worn and damaged, and would cause the latch to not really latch at all. So they replaced it with this metal spring O-ring, I guess is the best way to describe it. And they are much, much stronger, much more robust. They hold up forever. Check those things. That's really what you're going to look at for your eyes. And then you want to look and see that your eye is in place and that's not dirty and that you don't need to take it out and clean it. It's really simple to pop them out. You just lift them up out of there, clean underneath them, put them back together, or roll your eye back in. Just like that. Simple. So ASA eye is very, very easy to deal with. When we get to the inside, there's a little more things you want to look at on those. Bolt pops out. For working on a gun and taking it apart, obviously you want to make sure that the gun is degassed before you do any work to it. With a Lux, even with the tank off, they can still hold pressure inside of them, 1 to 2 shots worth of pressure in there. So when your tank is off, if you need to degas the gun, you don't need to shoot it. All you need to do is just lift up the cap and it will degas any air that's inside the bolt structure. So make sure your tank is off and your gun is degassed, obviously before you do it, to get inside of it. Now the bolt separates into, I think, 3 parts off the top of my head. We've got the back cap, which houses the bolt guide, comes off there. We've got the bolt, which slides out there, and then our can, if you want to call it that. A couple O-rings on the outside of this. 1, 2, 3 O-rings on the inside. You're going to look at those O-rings, inspect them for any wear, damage, make sure they're lubed, clean any old lube off, any dirt, debris, or paint, and then re-O-ring them. Set that down there. Your bolt, tip O-ring, you have a sail O-ring and a bumper O-ring on here. Make sure those are clean, free of nicks and scratches and chips, lubed, ready to go. And then on the back side here, these 2 O-rings, if they go bad, you do get a lot of leaks down the bolt. So if you have a leak down the bolt, these are the first 2 O-rings I would look at. After that, the second O-rings I would look at are the inside O-rings here and here. They are usually a green material depending on what bolt kit you're using or O-ring supplier you're using. Check those O-rings for leaking down the breech. If you have a leak coming out the back cap right here, this pin that moves up and down is usually your culprit. there are 2 O-rings on the inside of this post that if they go bad, will leak out the back. So to get to that, you would lift this up. There's a screw that's right inside here. You would undo this screw, and you would take the cap off, pull the plunger out, replace the black O-rings that are on there. So bolt is pretty simple. If you do need to go so far as to take the guide apart, you put an Allen key in between the two, and you can actually unscrew it. Now you have to be super, super careful when you're putting these back together that you don't over tighten them. There's no reason to over tighten anything in a paintball gun. You make it snug, you leave it alone. There's no reason to crank on it. You're gonna strip your screw and you're gonna make it hard to take apart down the road. There's an O-ring inside here, and then 2 O-rings on here. Put it back together. With everything, you just check your O-rings. You can pull them off if you want. Make sure that they look okay. Feel them for any kind of nicks or chips. Sometimes it's very hard to feel a chip. So if you have a leak, you feel all your O-rings and it doesn't look like any of them are wrong, just replace them all anyway. We're gonna go ahead and put this back together. Inside here is our spring that helps with the bolt's movement. I see this happen every once in a while where people will put this together, and the spring that goes into this hole right here, it doesn't line up with the hole properly. It's actually off center a little bit, and it ends up getting smashed on the side. It like actually fits over the top and gets crushed inside there. So when you put your bolt back together, you want to watch the spring that's in there and make sure that it slides inside the bolt guide, giving you the proper fit. Take our can, screw it back together, and then we'd be ready to go. Re-grease all your O-rings, obviously, put it back together. Now we're going to pull apart the reg and look at that part right there. All right, so we're gonna take apart the regulator, show you how to take it out, get the insides of it out, things to look for inside there. The reg is actually very, very easy to deal with. You don't need to really do a lot of wrenching to get it out. It's just there's a nice case that goes over the top of it. Get our wrench, we're gonna remove this top. Basically, it's just a kind of like a nut that holds everything together. We're gonna unscrew that out. Something that I've seen people do is they see this part here that has got a plus and a minus sign on it for velocity adjustment, and they actually adjust this entire thing because they think they're changing their velocity that way. That is not the case. As you can see, if I pull that out, that whole thing comes out right there with a little O-ring. This is just a bumper O-ring, doesn't seal. But the velocity adjustment is actually inside there. This piece sits over the top of it like this. It does not have anything to do with velocity adjustment. It just shows you the direction to turn the piece inside of here to adjust velocity. Once we get that cap off, we can actually unscrew the entire reg out. And as you can see, these things are unscrewing very, very easily, because when I took this apart earlier, I just hand tight everything. You put it in, you get it to the point where you feel it hit the back, you tighten it up, and you leave it alone. There's no reason to just crank on it with a wrench, especially something like this. So we pull it out, a couple O-rings here. We've got 2 set screws on the sides right here. In order to get this bottom section out to get to the core of the regulator, we do need to remove these 2 set screws. And these 2 set screws are unique. They are not just a flat bottom set screw. They actually have a post on the end of them. That post does need to go into a very specific section inside there. So when we go to put it back together, we'll talk about that. So pull the 2 set screws out, and then we can actually unscrew this off the bottom. See if I can get it here. Pull that out of there. That comes out. Now inside here is our piston and our spring. Spring there. Piston. If you're going to grab the piston from this side, make sure you don't damage the face at all. You don't want to jam anything into it. You can actually just turn it over and take an Allen key that can fit down in there and just push it out. Or you could grab it with there. But you do have to be careful. You don't want to mark it up or anything like that. So make sure you're using a set of flat pliers or whatever. Nothing with teeth on it that's going to leave any marks. Take the piston out, your piston O-ring right there, change it, clean it, lube it, same kind of things, and then drop it back in. Very, very simple reg design. Put it in there, put our spring back in, screw this back together. When we screw it back together, it's going to maybe a little hard to see, but there's a hole right here, and there is a hole right here. The end of the set screw needs to go into that hole. So it goes through the hole here where the threading is, and lines up and goes into that one right there. So when we screw this together, we need to make sure that these holes line up with these holes. And if you take it and just screw it all the way together till it bottoms out, like that, you don't see the holes in there. They actually rotate on this particular reg all the way past them. So what you need to do is you need to back it up by hand till you see the hole. So I'm actually turning this piece backwards slightly so that the holes line up. Now it's okay that they're not completely flush together, because there's an O-ring in here that seals the bottom half of the regulator that has the adjustment into the top half of the regulator. So it's okay that they're not perfectly together. They're meant to be like that. So we've lined up the holes. We can take our set screw, put it in, and if we've lined it up properly, when we thread this in, it should sit under flush. It should be under level with the outside here. That'll make this easy to go on so that it doesn't get caught or get stuck. If you go to put the housing of the regulator on, then and it doesn't just slide easily on there, you know you've got an issue. Okay, now setting this up, let's say you pulled it out, you've pulled the adjuster out, you've pulled everything apart, and now you're going to put it back together, and you don't know where you need to be as far as pressure-wise. The Luxes run at about 190 psi. Unless you have a special tool like this, which I get from them, this is from DLX, it can be hard to set up, I guess, because you don't know where your pressures are at. Typically, from a bottomed out position where the regulator is not letting any pressure through at all, if you do 2 full turns out, or in the velocity up direction, which for this one happens to be in a clockwise direction, 2 full turns clockwise is going to put you at roughly the right place to go to the chrono and then start chronoing and get the right velocity out of the gun. Don't go any further than that, because you might be over-pressurizing and shooting too hot or potentially ruining something inside the gun. But 2 turns out is a good starting point. For something like this, if you can get this tool or you have it, it makes it super simple. The tool just threads into where the reg would go. And then that screws in there. And I'm pretty sure you can get these from DLX if you call them up. But then you've got 2 gauges on here. You've got your working pressure, your regulator, and the working pressure of what is coming out of your tank. So you can know your tank output and reg output all at the same time. So it's very simple to set up that way. So let's pull this off. Let's put our regulator back together. So we're going to take our filter, put our filter in there. And I've seen a lot of people just get rid of the filter altogether. I'm sure it helps to have the filter in there, so I don't recommend getting rid of it. But if you happen to lose it at the field, I wouldn't sweat it. Put the cover on, put the O-ring back in there, which again is just a bumper to help tighten down this piece. And then screw this in. There you go, tightened up, snug, didn't overdo it, right where we need to be. All right, so now we're going to take apart the frame off of the body, and we'll work from there. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our grips off. We got 4 screws to take our grips, and that's going to expose both the eye side and the battery solenoid side. Right there, so we've got our grips off. You can see we've got our eye wire running on this side. The back side of our board is right here. If we ever needed to remove the board, these 3 screws right there would let us get the board out. And then we've got our speaker side. This is where our gun controls are, our mode changes, everything that we want to do to adjust the gun is done through here. We've got our solenoid wire right here, our solenoid, and then our charging port slash computer interface port right there. So let's go ahead and pop it out. First thing we want to do is unplug our solenoid right there. And then we're going to unplug our I-wire right there. Now the I-wire does fit under a little ledge right here, so you don't want to just grab it and pull it out. You can ruin it. You actually just slide it out this way and it will pop up just like that. Once you have both of these free, then we can go ahead and undo our screws. Front frame screw here. Ooh, almost got away from me. And then our rear frame screw. Right there. And then we can go ahead and start separating out the frame. Now, you do not want to just yank this thing. They can be a little stiff or a little tight sometimes, so you just kind of want to walk it back and forth very carefully, very gently, slowly pull it down to make sure that everything is separating out properly. You don't want to ruin these wires. You don't want to ruin your eye wires. You don't want to damage the solenoid and kink it to the side. None of those things. So we're just going to easily slide it down. When we get to this point where our wire is, I'm going to bend my wire out of the way so that I can just slide it right out and come off of there. Now on our transfer right here, this little post that you see right there, that's where the air transfers up from the ASA through the frame, through the hole, and up into the gun right here. There's an O-ring that sits right here. Make sure that you keep track of that O-ring. Sometimes you pull the frame apart, that O-ring will come off and it will stay on the post right here, and then it can fall off. So make sure that that's there, it's clean, it's free of any kind of defects or anything like that, so that it doesn't leak between the two pieces. Next, we've got our solenoid right here. Our solenoid has a couple of O-rings on it, so we'll pull that off really quick. There's two screws that hold that together, one there, and then one here on the back side of it. I can't overemphasize the need not to crank down your screws. Make them tight, but don't kill them. And then once I get the two screws out, this should just come off right here. Now you've got a little slot right there where the solenoid actually sits into, and then three O-rings on the manifold right here. Those are your air passages that is being directed by the solenoid itself. You've got one input to output to control the bolt or the airflow into the bolt. So if you have any issues in that area right there, always check to make sure that the O-rings on your manifold are good. And then those three same passages have another O-ring where the solenoid mounts up to the manifold right here. So there's O-rings along there as well. To get to that, you take those two screws out and the manifold, the solenoid will come off the manifold. Check the O-rings that are underneath there. Now another thing that the manifold does, you can see it's got this little point on the front of it. That actually sits over the top of the eye wire or the eye ribbon. That keeps the ribbon in place. I see all the time Luxes come in with this eye ribbon just flopping around on the inside of the body. There's a very, very specific way that the ribbon goes in where it fits perfectly inside of there. It does not flop around. It is not free floating. None of those things. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 little tabs that the ribbon will fit underneath to keep it securely in place. Make sure that if you do take the ribbon out, that you do feed it underneath those tabs, or else you will run the possible chance of ruining your Y-wires, pinching them, crushing them, bending them, all sorts of things that are not supposed to happen to them when you go to put it back together. So you can see this one is in there. It is not falling around or flopping or anything like that. The only part that's wiggling about is the end right here because it's not being held down by the manifold and it's just free to do whatever it wants. But this whole section here is secure inside the body, which is the way it should be. Runs up to the front. This ribbon runs up the front. It splits off into two pieces, and those are where your eyes are. So take care of that. Make sure it sits in there properly. When we go to put it back together, make sure that it's in its little trough or groove. Put our manifold on and make sure that it covers the front of the ribbon properly so that we can tighten everything down. We're going to put that back together. Where are you? There you are. last thing that we're going to talk about before we put everything back together is the frame itself. How to change out the battery, how to get to the battery, what you need to do to change that out. So you've got 2 screws that are right here. We're going to pop these out. 1, 2. That's going to release the housing for the magnet, or the speaker. That pops off right there. Now, in this housing is the joystick that is just held in place by 2 little O-rings that this slides in between to kind of give it that springiness to it. It normally just sits down on a post inside the board here, where it then controls a little knob there so that you can control all your settings. With that out, we can lift our speaker up and out of the way. You can actually grab it carefully by the wiring and unplug it. And then our battery sits right underneath there. And then you can just unplug that. So there's our battery. You do get an extra battery, I believe, with your Lux. They do run for quite a long time though. So obviously charge your battery the night before or keep an extra one charged up just in case before you go out to play the next day. So we've swapped out the battery. We're gonna put our new one in. Just plug her in, like so. Set it down in the bottom. There's a little compartment for it to sit there. We're gonna take our speaker. We're gonna plug her in. Oh, I got it backwards. And I'm gonna use an Allen key to push down on it to make sure I've snapped it into place. Always pushing on the harness, not pushing on the wires. I'm going to take my joystick, I'm going to set it on the post down inside there so that I know that it's securely in the right spot. Then I'm going to put my speaker holder in place. First thing I'm going to do is run the joystick through the rubber band setup so that I know that lines up properly. Run it through the middle, push it down, get my speaker in place, hold it down, and then put my screws back together. Like so. Very, very simple to take. It does take a little bit of time. It's not like just throwing in a 9 volts or anything like that. But that's the nice thing you get with a rechargeable battery. You can just deal with it like that. Now the last potential problem you can run into when putting your frame back together is the wiring. You need to be very, very careful when putting this back together. It's very easy to damage the solenoid wire, to cut it off, to crimp it, damage it in any way. Plus it's very easy to damage this too. So I start with the solenoid speaker system facing me, and then we're going to go ahead and slide it together. So we're going to slide it in. First thing I want to do is make sure my solenoid wire is straight enough here where I can run it through and it's not going to get caught on anything. So I'm going to push that in there like that. I'm going to get my solenoid into place right here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not doing anything to my eyes on the other side. And I'm going to get it close to the point where it's coming together. We're about 1/2 inch apart right here, 3/4 of an inch. If I was to continue to push this forward, there's a good chance, probably a 99% chance, that this wire would get caught between the solenoid and the frame right here. And if I pushed, it would just cut it right in half. I've seen it happen. You have to be extremely careful when putting these back together. We want to make sure that our solenoid wire is out of the way. It's nowhere near this cut right here where it can get pinched in between the solenoid and the frame. We're going to put it back in. We're going to make sure that our post goes into our O-ring that connects the frame to the body. We're going to look at our other side to make sure our eye is in the right spot right there, that it hasn't shifted and is in like some weird position right now. And we're going to put our screws back together. Or put our screws back in, I guess. They're really back together. So I want to put that one in, get it down to the bottom. I'm not going to tighten it up yet. Take the other one, put it in. Go back, snug, snug, and we're done. Now we're going to plug our solenoid back in. Make sure that that goes together. Tuck our solenoid wires down in. Flip it over, plug it in. Our eye wire slides right in, and then we're gonna, you can see it kind of sitting up right there. We're going to slide it underneath its little lip so that it holds it in place right there. Keeps everything nice and flat and uniform. Take our grips, put them back on. And then last, take our bolt, slide it in. You never want to just jam the bolt in either. The O-rings on the outside, they can pinch on the body. So each O-ring, the first one, you want to watch it, make sure that it goes through easily. The next one, they all go in, and they should all go in smoothly and back together. So now we're back together. We should be ready to shoot the gun, go out and gas it up, dry fire it, do all those things. This has been a brief look. I don't know if it's really considered brief. It's kind of long, but a look at the maintenance on a Lux. Hopefully that helps you out with understanding maybe how the gun works a little bit better, or just what to do in case you have one or thinking about getting one. If you're interested in videos like this for other guns, let us know through the YouTube channel so that we can do videos for you guys to see what you like. So yeah, thanks for watching it, and think about buying a Lux. They're awesome. There's a ton of colors. They shoot awesome. Check out the variations that are through the website and order yours now through ansgear.com.